The integrity of senior level professionals employed in the public service briefly came into focus during the July 12th sitting of the lower house of assembly in response to questionable claims from the leader of the opposition surrounding the supposed intent of a US $10 million loan from the Export Import Bank of the Republic of China on Taiwan. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, citing documented reports from the Finance Ministry, was able to set the record straight and preserve the integrity of the policy makers advising the cabinet.
But, Mr. Speaker, you had the leader of the opposition come here and said to you that he had $10 million for St. Jude. The money from the Exim Bank was for St. Jude, Mr. Speaker. And I really feel sorry for the technocrats who worked with the Minister for Finance. I feel sorry for them. You know, I feel sorry for them because if I were in their place and I would see somebody stand up and say that's completely not true, I'd be able to say something. But they are professionals, so they say nothing. Mr. Speaker, let me tell you how the $10 million had to be spent by this leader of the opposition and why we had to repurpose it, Mr. Speaker. That was the $10 million he had for election purposes. That was the $10 million he had. Construction, rehabilitation of concrete roads and drains to include general infrastructure, utility retaining walls, fabrication of rails and handicap access, repairs and renovations to courts, parks and community facilities. He had in that $14 million, Mr. Speaker, for election purposes. And he was afraid to come to this honorable house because he was afraid to come to borrow because he knew if he had come, he would have got stiff opposition, Mr. Speaker. So he backfired on that. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, here's how he spent that money. He spent that money, Mr. Speaker, he proposed to spend it, Mr. Speaker, he proposed to spend it on geothermal study for police headquarters, designs for police headquarters, site preparations for police headquarters, and importation of 1,000 LED lights. And he comes here, Mr. Speaker, stands on his 2 feet that God gave him and says that money was for St. Jude. Mr. Speaker, Boris Johnson could not do so badly.
After a series of productive engagements with senior public officials since coming into office last July, Honorable Pierre has sought to distinguish his leadership style from that of his immediate predecessor. The Prime Minister told the lower house that he employs a more consultative approach with the policymakers.
The leader of the opposition says that we should negotiate with the Taiwanese to cap the interest rate and resilience clauses. You think a man can stand up and say that? A man who he negotiated it. We had to repurpose it. There's a letter on the file from the Taiwanese saying why we ought to repurpose. We had to make a case, the poor technocrats in the ministry. Not me. You can ask them. I don't deal, this Minister of Finance, I don't deal with my technocrats like you know. I ask them for policy direction and I reserve the right to take the path that I want based on the policies that they give me. But I don't go to the airport and tell them where to put terminal building, costing the country $43 million in cost overruns. I don't interfere with SLASPO and write them and tell them to give a direct award to somebody. You must do it. I don't do it, Mr. Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker, so when he comes and talks about capping the interest rate and resilience clauses, he knows very well that the loan that he negotiated, he knows very well. I can sit and ask you to say, and I say it's not true.
A US $10 million loan at concessionary rates from the Export-Import Bank of the Republic of China on Taiwan, according to Honorable Pierre, will be strategically invested in St. Lucia's emerging productive sectors and also fund ongoing capital projects. From the Office of the Prime Minister, Rihani Isidore.